Coming up next, a local woman says she experienced the same blood clotting that forced officials to pause the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
Some shocking stories of people who created fake businesses to take advantage of CARES Act money.
Plus, a Buffalo-themed amusement park may be coming to Jamestown. That is what it starts right now.
This is Valley News Live at 10.
The search for answers continues after a Minnesota woman says she had an adverse reaction to the Johnson & Johnson vaccine.
She said she spent the last few days in the hospital following doctors' suspicion of blood clotting. Valley News Team's Courtney Lockie shares her story and a warning from experts. And it's a story you'll only see on Valley News Live.
Less than a week after Gloria Miller got her dose of the Johnson & Johnson vaccine, the FDA called for its temporary pause. Other than a sore arm, she didn't initially have side effects.
So I thought, oh, good, get it done and be done. No, didn't happen that way.
A week later, she began showing severe symptoms of fatigue, headache, and light sensitivity. So bad, it's forcing her to keep her space dark and her eyes covered. Then came the news of the J&J trouble. As her symptoms worsened, she decided it was better to be safe than sorry.
He said that the symptoms I was having were identical to the other ladies.
A few tests showed bleeding in her sinus cavity. Doctors told her the adverse side effects were similar to the cases of rare blood clotting problems.
To me, it's scary. If I could go over again, I would never have took the shot. I wish I didn't.
In Gloria's case, she was given the okay to go home, but she still hasn't been back to work. Experts say coming in was a good move.
Certainly if the symptoms are severe, they get, severe photophobia or light sensitivity, vomiting, discoordination or being off balance.
You should report your side effects to the CDC online, as well as your doctor. And while all this may seem frightening, keep in mind,
out of over 6 million doses, the number of these reported blood clots was still, exceedingly rare. I still ask people to watch, and usually it's going to be within that, 1 week to 3 week.
Gloria is hoping for answers and relief soon. She'll meet with the doctor again next week. Courtney Lockie, Valley News Live.
The FDA is considering lifting the pause on the J&J vaccine. They are waiting to hear from the CDC committee, who will meet tomorrow.
Help is on the way for people who are suffering from lingering symptoms of the COVID virus. Healthcare facilities in the Valley are aiming to find treatment and relief for those who are referred to as COVID long haulers. Essentia Health says that they're now rolling out their post-COVID rehab program, and Sanford Health says they're not far behind.
We need to identify what the baseline was with those patients, what they were doing prior to becoming ill, and then B, how we're going to get them back there.
Sometimes they'll need pulmonary rehab, sometimes they'll need long-term oxygen, or sometimes they just need physical therapy to build up their endurance.
Doctors say it typically takes 4 to 6 weeks to recover from COVID, adding that if you have symptoms after that, reach out to your doctor. There's contact information for suspected long haulers on our VNL News app. Just click on this story. Also keep in mind, if you're looking for places to get COVID vaccine shots across the area and you want to compare them, use our VNL Vaccine Tracker. It's right on the homepage of our website. Or you can open your phone camera and point it to the QR code on your screen, then tap the link that pops up.
In 1 hour, a curfew goes into effect in Brooklyn Center, Minnesota, lasting until 6 a.m. It follows the funeral of Dante Wright this afternoon. The 20-year-old was shot and killed by a police officer. This comes after a number of days without a curfew. Last week, hundreds were arrested during protests in Brooklyn Center.
North Dakota's Senate stood by the governor today surrounding his veto of an anti-mask mandate bill. After the House overrode the veto, the Senate failed to do the same. Some lawmakers were a bit surprised that the bill ultimately wound up passing.
Honestly, every juncture from the original one in the House to the Senate to after the amendments to the overrides, right up to the very end, every single vote was a surprise, a pleasant surprise to me.
The bill in its original form restricted any government entity from enacting mask mandates, but was later amended to include statewide elected officials like the governor and the state health officer. Governor Burgum says this bill is a reaction to the COVID-19 pandemic, but now that it's law, it's going to apply to any future ones.
Less than 24 hours after Governor Burgum vetoed the transgender sports bill, lawmakers brought it back to overrule him. However, their effort failed. The House passed the veto override 68-25, but the Senate came up short with a 28-19 vote. They needed 32 to pass. After months of fighting, the opposition is happy the bill is finally gone.
The LGBTQ plus community tends to be on the losing end, and for the first time in North Dakota history, we get to celebrate, and we get to be visible, and we get to be seen.
Much of the opposition to the bill wasn't just a battle over protecting transgender students, it was also economic. The NCAA recently announced that it was following the progress of states installing laws like this, and if it passed, would pull its tournaments. To avoid butting heads with the NCAA, North Dakota lawmakers removed college athletics from their version of the bill.
As with most legislative sessions, there are efforts to insert late additions to bills in hopes of getting them passed. The Commerce Department's budget now includes a $5 million grant approved by the House to help build a Buffalo-themed amusement park in Jamestown. They're open by 2024.
We fund these kind of programs all the time, every year. We fund them for ag. We fund them for energy. God knows we're doing it for coal. And rightfully so. These people want it. These businesses want this stuff. It works. There's a reason why we do it every session.
Supporters say the grant has safeguards the amusement park must meet in order to qualify for the funds, including raising $5 million of its own. It now goes back to the Senate.
The city of East Grand Forks wants residents' input on a capital campaign. It would be used for improvements to the Civic Center. They received $30,000 late last summer after placing second in the nation in Kraft's Hockeyville USA competition. In today's State of the City address, Mayor Steve Gander also said the city is focusing on its baseball diamonds, road repairs, filling vacant retail spaces, and making two South End bridges connecting Grand Forks and East Grand Forks a reality.
Valley News Live is teaming up with Golden Drive to help homeless children in Fargo and West Fargo, and we need your help. You still have a couple more days to drop off non-perishable food items at the West Fargo Fire Department. We're going to be packaging them up on Saturday, and the donations will then be given to area schools and shelters.
How far would you go to help a coworker? Well, for the crew at a bank in downtown Bismarck, it meant dumpster diving after a coworker lost her wedding ring. One man ended up completely inside the dumpster because it was the only way to reach some of the bags. He tells us it wasn't a big deal and it wasn't his first time.
I was in the Marine Corps, so I had to do a lot of trash cleanup and dumpster diving in the past.
The office mates didn't find the ring, but it did make its way back to its owner. It showed up the next day in a nearby parking lot.
Continuing to sell things, keeping our doors open, paying our staff their appropriate salary while not being able to fully operate at full capacity.
Still ahead tonight, frustrated businesses speak out as they struggle to survive. Others are scamming the government to receive CARES Act money.
But first, lots of activity in the 7-day forecast. Hutch breaks down your Friday and what's ahead right after this.